Can you stop sharing? Thank you. Just a quick check. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, it is visible.
Great. So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Again, I missed the slide based on the time zone you are joining. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So today we are going to walk you. Today I am going to walk you through the part two of the record trigger flows. So in yesterday's session, we discussed something about your flows that are available, like the different types of flows, why we use flow, and then we deep dive into take a deep dive into our record trigger flow that is before save, right? Today we are going to check about the after save, and if the time permits, I will definitely show you some fault path and custom error that is available and how we can explore more towards the after flow part of the record trigger flow. And also, I will show you a synchronous part of your record trigger flow as well. So before I go into that, one a small request. Today, again, you'll have to post whatever learning you have done, whatever learning you get from this particular session, and don't forget to tag me and John, and please use this hashtag SF Kanyakumari. So based on this, we will announce a winner. So whoever post is creative, so for them and with some good number of likes and all, so we will announce the winner at the end. So keep a check, post your learning on LinkedIn or Twitter, and please use that hashtag, because based on that hashtag we will be able to track the most creative post with good number of likes and share. Anything is fine, but it should be little creative. Okay. So let's move ahead about me. So if you're there for my last session, well and good. If not, let me do a quick introduction. My name is Aman Tiwari. I have started calling myself Aman Anil Tiwari, nomadic trailblazer, because I have been traveling I have traveled across 23 states till now, and five more states, and then India will be done. By my passion, I like to do or share knowledge with people. I Philanthropy is something that is very close to me, so I love doing philanthropy activities. I'm a founder of Mule Driven, so one of the events which is basically designed for both Salesforce and MuleSoft community. I'm a developer by profession, content creator by passion, again, professional trainer and mentor. Won't talk much about this part because it relates to something related to business. So here I'm not here to talk about business, but to share my knowledge. If you want to have know anything related to Salesforce, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. This is my LinkedIn handle, Aman hyphen Tiwari hyphen SFDC, and this is my Twitter handle, true underscore altruist. Now, what's agenda for today? We have already, we'll one more time, we'll see what is flow, and then we will learn what is record trigger flow. Basically, today we will see after save part of the trigger flow along with the asynchronous programming. Then we'll see the use case and demo, and last it will be a Q&A and wrap. In between, John, if you've come across any question, please feel free to let me know about that questions, and I'll definitely take up that questions.
Okay.
So let's go with the flow. And yes, please don't remember this disclaimer. This disclaimer is very important for you. If someone says this, you know what you need to do next, right? So while we learn flows and what is flow, a quick revision. As I said yesterday in previous session, that flow is a powerful automation tool, which again gives the upper hand to the developers and our technical architects, and it makes admins and business analysts life little easy. With the flow, you can almost do everything that you can do with your Apex trigger, with your LWC component, with your asynchronous programming, almost very much close to what you can do with your development stuff, you can do with your flows. So does it mean this flow is a admin tool? I'll repeat again, flow is not an admin tool. If you want to work on flows, you should be good with the development skills. If you are someone who don't like to code but you still have development knowledge, that's for you. Flow is for you, because flow is not only automation tool, it's a low code automation tool. Though you're not coding, you need to know how you can build a logic. Okay. Now we are going to see only the record trigger flow because rest of the sessions have been lined up. Screen flow has already been covered. Record trigger flow I will be covering and finishing up today. Then schedule trigger flow by Amit Singh, platform event flow by Gautam Chaskar, and so on and so forth. So Kanyakumari, hats off to Kanyakumari group. They have really designed this flow series in a very good way. Now, what next? So the next thing is yesterday we understood when we should use before save trigger flow. When I keep using this word or when I coin this term before save, I always talk about what you say is fast field update. By the name itself, it means you, if you're going to make any changes on the same object on which you are firing this particular record trigger flow, that is what your fast field update or before save. If this is not clear, then mug up or keep in your mind this particular diagram. So this diagram is like I want to create a flow on an S object and I have a question in my mind. So always ask this question whenever you want to create a flow. Do you need to create, update, delete the related records? That means an object or a record related to this object. If the answer is yes, then it is after save flow. If the answer is no, go ahead and ask yourself second question. Do you want to send an email alert? That is an action. If the answer is yes, then go ahead and create after save flow. Okay. If the answer again comes in your mind as no, ask third question to yourself. Do you want me to do a chatter post? If the answer is yes, go ahead and use after save flow. If the answer is still no, then ask yourself fourth question. Do I want to make any Apex call out? Do I mean to want to make any HTTP call out or anything as such? If the answer again comes as yes, then it should be after save. And if any of this says no, then you will go ahead and use before save flow. So this is what your after save flow does. After save means actions and related records. But the name itself means actions means you want to perform any action, okay, like email alert, post to chatter, custom notifications, any kind of action, HTTP call out. Okay, that are all what actions. And related record means if you want to make any changes to the record which is related to the triggering object, then you will go ahead and use after save, that is actions and related record. Okay. Now, yesterday we saw some of our action and logic elements. Some of them I told you I will show you today. So without any delay, let's see the demo part of it or the practical part of this. So login.salesforce.com. I'll just log into my org. Let me do that. Okay. Now here we will go to setup. Then we will search for flows. After this, I will click on new flow. So which is that flow? This is record trigger flow. We have already seen the before save part of record trigger flow. Now what we are going to see is we are going to see first the elements that are available. So for checking the elements which are available in after save, that is actions and related records, you will have to select this option which is actions and related record, and here you will click on this plus, or it's better to change the layout to free form so that you can see all the actions that are available. Now if I duplicate this tab and if I change it to, let's say, fast field updates, let me show you what particular elements are available. So here is the difference between before save and after save. To my left, this one is before save, and to my right, this one is after save. Obviously, there will be more elements in after save. So yesterday I told you that there is one element which is custom error, and this is what recently. Okay, and here to my right, which is after save, here there are two more elements, which one is called in interaction, which is called action element. Now I told you, right, you can post to chatter, you can send an email alert, you can do n number of things when it comes to action. You can make HTTP call out, okay, like get, post, put, patch, delete. I have delivered a lot of sessions on this. On this creating the HTTP callouts. You can check my videos. Maybe in some of the community groups I have given the sessions. Okay, then you can make any custom notification. All that things are possible, or you can even make a call to an apex through your flows. Okay, here it is that what I'm saying. Apart from this, so this is what your action element does. Now, what is subflow? So you remember yesterday I was talking about auto launch flow, and I said, what is auto launch flow? Many people get confused because when they come onto the screen, they say all three types of flow: schedule trigger flow, and record trigger flow, and auto launch flow. They are under one category, which is auto launch flow. But I gave you a proper definition of auto launch flow. So what is auto launch flow? Basically, it's a flow where you will mention all your logic, right? And then you will call that flow as a part of your subflow here, as a part of your subflow inside another flow. So I will create, and this will be available not in your before save. That is, it is not available in fast field update. It's only available in your actions and related records. So after save, if you want to, let's say, if you want to perform any logic, then you will go ahead and use after, then you will call a subflow. So see, this is an auto launch flow, which is like that doesn't get trigger on its own. So here you will select that, and then you will make use of it. Now, in if you are coming from a developer background, I think that if I don't want to repeat it again, but if you're coming from a developer background, it is like you create a handler class for your trigger, right? So this is your handler class. Your auto launch flow is like your handler class. You can write all the logic inside that, and you can call it from your main record trigger flow. Okay, so that you can do using subflow. Here I have created, I have created an auto launch flow with the name as follow up task. So that is coming up here. Okay, then custom error, I have talked about this. You can check the recording. I have talked a lot about this. Maybe if time permits, I will show this particular use of this particular element. Assignment element, decision element, loop. I think this all we have already discussed yesterday. Now this is transform element. Again, I think in Kanyakumari group itself, I have delivered a session on this. So if you want something like when account is getting created, a contact should get created, and I don't want to use create record elements. Okay, I will just go ahead and use transform beta. Again, if time permits, I'll definitely show you this. After this, we have collection sort and collection filter. This I have talked yesterday. And all the data elements, I have already talked about this in previous session. If not, if yesterday was update record and get records, so update records, you all know what your update record element does. It updates the record. Okay, and I also shown you an example when you should use update record element and when you should use assignment element. Okay, then create records and delete records. This is available for your after save element, because I am saying why it is not available, because in before save why it is not available. If you have a little bit of knowledge of your, what do you say, triggers, there we have something called as events. So there are 7 events: before insert, after insert, before update, after update, before delete, after delete, and after undelete, right? So that are 7 elements. Now before save means what? That means before insert or before update means what? I'm going to make changes onto the same record. So that's the reason in your before save here you won't get create record element and delete record element, because you are going to work on the same record. Now you will say, hey Aman, if I want to delete a record which is of the same object, then how can I use delete record element? So for that you don't have delete record element, but they give you an option in your before save, that is a record is deleted. In your after save, they say if you are creating or if you are deleting this record, you want your related record should also get deleted. For that is the after save. After this particular transaction or this particular changes are committed to the database, then you go ahead and make or delete the records of my related object. So for that, they have given you delete records. Similarly, for your create records as well. So when an account is getting created, go ahead and create contact. Okay, so that is the reason they have given create record element and delete record element only for your after save, that is actions and related records, and not in your before save. Any doubts here? Let me check in the chat. 6. Okay, what is the limitation of record trigger flow? I have talked a lot about yesterday about the limitations of record trigger flow. One limitation I told you, right? When you are querying on the records, get record, right? There you can't use the number of clauses that we have, like clause you can't use it. So sorry, limit clause you can't use it, which you have in your query, right? SQL queries, which is there. Here you can't have it. There are other limitations as well. So I think it will take one more session for me to talk only about the limitations. But yes, there are still lot of limitations are there, and major disadvantage of still a flow is that when it comes to bulk record or high volume of records, your flow starts behaving very weird. So still, flow is not so enhanced when it comes to comparison with trigger. Any other question? I see no more question. So let me go ahead and check on the first scenario, which is interviewers famous and very easy to understand. That whenever an account is created, contact and case should be created. Okay, so let's go ahead and do it. Now we know very well that after creation of account, contact and case should be created, so it is a part of after save. So let me remove this, and here I will select my object as account. When account is created, entry condition should be nothing. I would select actions and related records, and I will click on done. Now here I would change this to auto layout. I'll say okay. Here I'll click on create records, and I'll say create contact. Okay. Now how many records? I want to create only one record. Use all values from a record or use separate resources and literal values. When will you use this one? Use all values from a record. So if you are getting that records, if we let's suppose you have a collection, okay, and using that collection you want to create a record directly. If I take a basic example, if I have written a trigger, and if I say, all the trigger that you have written after applying the for loop, let me do one thing. Let me show you using an example. So what I'm saying is, here you have written a trigger, okay, you have applied a for loop. You are saying for integer I is equal to, let's say 1, I is less than or equal to 5, I plus plus. Okay, then here you are saying go ahead and create account acc is equal to new account, and then you are passing it all the values. Let's say I'm just passing account name and account rating. Account name is equal to let's say Kanyakumari plus I. Okay, and rating, I will say that the rating is hot. Okay, now here I won't go ahead and directly do insert. You will say why I won't do it, because since there is number of record is 5, it won't create any problem. But if it crosses, if I do it 500, then it will create a problem saying too many DML statements, limit exception, too many DML statement 151. This is one error that we get, right? So to avoid that, what I will do is I will go ahead, and before this I will create a list. I'll say list of account, Sorry for my writing. My writing is not so good. I know that very well. ACC is equal to new list of account. Okay, and here I will do what? I'll say list of ACC dot add, and here I will add my ACC. I will close this, and after this I will say insert A. Oh, sorry, not A. It is LST LSTACC. Right? Now this is holding all the record which is coming from here. Similarly, if you have anything as such in your flow, then you will go ahead and you will use all values from a record. And here you can enter the collection. Okay. So I'm not having anything as such, so I'm not going to use it. I'll say use separate resources and literal values. And now here I'll say contact. So I'll select contact, and in contact, what are the mandatory fields? Last name. Okay, I'll say the last name should be record dot name, that we can keep it. And any other field, let's say email is there, or let me check. Let me try for phone. So if I see phone, I'll say record dot phone. Yeah, this can be mapped. And the last and most important field is this particular contact which is getting created. It should get mapped to the account on which the trigger is firing, right? So I'll say account ID should be equal to record, that is account dot ID. Okay, so let me check. Yes, this one. Now my this particular part is ready, and now I'll go ahead and I will use create record one more time for creating the case. I'll say create case. Sorry, create case. Okay. Now I'll say again use separate resources. Only one record you should create. I'll say case, and this time case subject, and I'll say subject is something like not in single quotes. Case created successfully, and then I will mention it like anything else if I want to give. Case origin, I will say it is coming from, let's say, web, just for example, or not web, I'll say it is coming from phone. Okay, and other than this, most important thing, it should get mapped to that specific account. So I'll say case dot account ID is equal to record dot account record dot ID, this one. And also it should get mapped to this particular contact. How will it get mapped? Let's see if we have anything as contact ID. Yes. Now always remember, how will I do it is I will say contact ID from create contact. This is a very interesting thing. This particular element will always act like a variable. So this element is giving you contact ID from the create contact. So this is acting as a variable itself. I'll select that, and now I'll click on save. So I'll say simple account contact and case creation record trigger flow, and I'll click on save. This time I'll click on debug, and I will say, let me check. Let's see this one, account as test. And now if I click on run, okay, it says failed custom validation exception, email cannot be blank. Okay, I have written a validation rule stating that email cannot be blank. I think there are two more validations I have written. Fine. So what I will do is, I understood what is the issue. Let me go to my object manager. Let me go to contact, and here validation rules. Okay, there is email cannot be blank. So I'll click on edit. Okay, let this validation be there. If there is any triggers, let me check. Yes, there are two triggers as well. First, I'll deactivate this. Purposely, I'm not deactivating my flow, this validation rule, because I want to show you something. Okay, there is nothing in this. Still, I'll click deactivate this. Now, it throws an error saying that custom validation exception email cannot be blank. Okay, but how will it appear to my user? Okay, so for my user, it will appear something like this. Yeah, here. So here for them, they will be getting this error fields custom validation exception email cannot be blank. What if I want to make my user understand this in a better way? So from here, what you can do is you can create add fault path. Okay, and here you can say I will create what I'll do is, okay, I think I'll talk about fault path later. Let me go ahead, change it to free form. Okay, it didn't come up. Fine. Okay, let me do one thing. So it says email cannot be blank, and here I will add that error. Email, instead of adding the error, I'll just add this field, and I will say record. I know on the record there won't be any email field. Okay, there is one email field. Thank God. Otherwise, I would have to hard code the value. God dot email. Fine. I'll save this. Let's test it one more time. I'll select this account. Run. Uh-oh, what was this one? Email cannot be blank. Okay. With the record which I am testing, through the record which I am testing, in that record, there is no email. So we will pass. We'll select one, create one record, or we'll go ahead and we will edit this record quickly. So here I will say email if I can't find it. Okay, let it be. I'll go ahead and deactivate my validation rule. I wanted to show the custom error, but I am not having much time with that. I have to complete in 1 hour, so I'll just deactivate it. And now this time, if I click on debug again and test this, completed. Okay, so account got created, contact got created, and as you know, your record trigger flow works in the rollback mode. That means whatever you have done, it is not going to commit to the database. It will just roll back to its previous state. So let's go ahead and activate and test it. Now here, if I go and if I create a contact, so I'll just clone this. Sorry, if I create an account, I'll just clone this account. Oh, no option to clone it. No worries. I'll just click on new account and I'll say dummy classic ET, and let me check the fields that they want for the contact. Say phone and email. So email, I can't find it, so I'll select the phone. I'll just give this rating as hot and I'll click on save. Let's see. So yes, account got created. A contact is also created with the same name, and case is also getting created. Okay. Now, if I want to achieve the same functionality, or if I say I want to create a flow where I don't want to use this create contact or create case. Okay. So I said when account is getting created, I said create contact and create case. I would use a second one, easy one. I'll say when an account is getting created, a contact should also get created, but this time I won't use create record elements. Okay, I will use something called as transform element, which is in beta phase. So this time I would say, let's say again for account only, but let me first deactivate this flow so that this doesn't get fired. Okay, and here I'll say when account is created, actions and related records. Fine. Now go ahead and use transform beta. So here I'll say create related contact. This time, if you are using source data, so I'll say source data fields, and here in the resource you will find count. Okay, the source will always be the object on which you are firing the trigger. Sorry, record trigger flow. And your target data. So target data, if you see the data type is record or fx defined. Fx defined, I won't talk it now. I'll select record, and then it also shows you all the objects. But which object? So if you see here, if I type here, let's say lead. Okay, so it can you can create any record with it. So let's say I am going to create contact because we took that example. Not this one, my bad. I'll select here contact, and once you click on done, here it is. Now you can easily map it. So I'll say name. Where is that name? Let me search it. Name. Yes. So here, this is the name, and the data type of this is text. So all the fields which are of data type text will get activated here. So I will connect name with the last name. Okay. Now here, if you see, if you hover over to this, so if you want to remove this or if you want to delete it, just select on this. Okay, and you can click on delete. Let me check why it is not coming up. You will have to hover over this and yeah, here it is. You can click on delete. Also, if you want to give any custom values, okay, if you want to create your formula and then you have to do it, so you can click on this formula and then you can give any name. So for now, what will be the last name of the contact? It is record.name. If you want to append like something like record.name plus rating, so we can do something and I can say record dot rating, something like this. If I click on check syntax, okay, what it says, field record is a picklist field type, picklets are not supported. Okay, so apart from this, if I have anything, let me think like in account, any other field, let's say annual revenue. Let's say whether it supports this. It's a number field, but it should support, or it's a currency field, I think. Okay, if it is not supporting, we'll just keep the record.name only. Okay, so we'll go on to this one. And last name is important, email is important, and phone is important. We'll select only phone. So I'll select this phone. And in this one, we will map it with this. That's it. Now let's see whether our record will get created or not. So I'll say create contact through transform element. Click on save, debug it, account, Rummy Classic ET, run, and see, it says Account got created and contact also got created. See, isn't this a cool feature? Now let's activate this and let's see here on our record. Let's click on new account. Account name will be approved ECC and phone we will give it. And this time we'll keep the rating as what and save it. Okay. Yes, I forgot to do one thing. I used transform beta, but I forgot to use the create one. So here it says if though it got created here, it didn't acted here. But you can try more on this and then you can see how it will work because I have to show one more example and that is very important. I have almost shown here. You'll just have to use one more element and you have to use it. You will have to complete it. Okay. So leave that on to you so that I can cover the next one which we have, which is create a record trigger flow so that when user is created, account should be created and post to chatter should be done stating user created successfully. Now this is very tricky one and if there is any flow master here in this session, I would like to know what approach will you use to achieve this. I'll post this question in the chat as well and I would love to see your answers before I give you the solution.
Hi Aman,
Just a hint.
there is one question.
Yeah, I answered that. Yeah, so I want you to make a guess what will and how will you achieve this. Even if you come close to the answer, it's fine. Create a record trigger flow so that when user is created, account should be created and post to chatters should be done stating user created successfully. You have 10 seconds to answer it. So I'll check who is answering it. 5 more seconds. After trigger flow with action element, the post to message chatter. Obviously, it's after trigger flow. Okay, Megesh. User object after trigger. Yes, Nilesh. Yes, user object is there. Okay, and okay, but I liked it. Like you all gave it a try. So when we, when we are, let me ask you one more question. What is the use of using? What is the major impact of having @future notation for our a method? Why we use @future notation? Making the process asynchronous. Okay, but that's not the correct one. Anyone else? Mm-mm-mm-mm. Okay, have you come across an error saying mixed DML operations? Right? When you are working on setup objects as well as a non-setup objects, then you get this kind of error. Right? Now my requirement is also working on that. I said create a record trigger flow so that when a user is created, account should be created and post to chatter stating user created successfully. Right? Now here, user is a setup object and account is a non-setup object. Right? So in this case, there are high chances of having an error which is mixed DML error occurred, right? Mixed DML operations. For that, we will use asynchronous programming, and that will be done using this particular part of flow. Again, we'll click on record trigger flow, create it. When a record is created, object will be user. Oh, my bad, once more, user. And here you will select include a run asynchronous path to access an external system after the original transaction for triggering record is successfully committed. Check this, and then here two paths are generated. Now the first requirement, user is created. So user should, when a user is created, account should be created. That is an asynchronous path. So we will be adding it here. We will say create records, and I'll say create account. Okay, and now I'll say account. Oh, sorry, I selected this one, so I'll select this account, and here I'll say the name of the account should be record, that is user dot name, and then we have maybe, yeah, city, we can take it. We will say record dot city, and then also we have something called country, which should be record dot country. Okay, and I think that's it. Fine. Now post to chatter, it's very easy. What you will do is you will click on this, and let me drag it here. We'll say before that, yeah, here post to chatter action, and I'll say post to chatter. I'll give the same name to my element as well, and I'll say message is user created successfully. Okay, and here I will, for the target, I'll say go and do from user dot id. That is my target. Yeah, user id. Okay, now I'll click on done, and here if I show you, let me save it, async rt flow. Okay, now click on save. The record field name center desired field that isn't supported. Okay, I think this has, let me check what was that. Save as, save. The issues, create account. Yes. So account name cannot be taken as full name. It should be first name. I'll take it first name because that can impact the output. So I'll click on save. Now there is no error. I will debug it. So I will first debug to my asynchronous run immediate path, and I'll say let's support Aman Tiwari, a user is created. And now if I click on run, okay, it says completed, and yes, user created successfully, and it got the post I went to chatter. Now we will click on debug again to check our asynchronous path. So we'll say runs asynchronously, and again I'll select user object and I'll click on run. Great, account is also getting created. I'll click on expand all, and okay, record city is null, country is India, and name is Aman. So this is working fine. Let's activate and test. So I've activated it, and now if I go on my setup, I'll quickly create a user. I will click on new user. We'll give demo, or we'll say dummy user. We'll give any email ID, and I'm not assigning anything. We will select city. I'll select city as Chandigarh, and country as state as Punjab, though it is not needed, and country as India. I click on save. So two things should happen when the user is getting created: a post to chatter should happen, and account should get created. So let's see. When I click on account, yes, account got created with the details of the same account name. And if I show you here, billing city is Chandigarh and billing country is India. So this is working fine. And if you go to chatter, that is important. This was no, let's see. Um, chatter. Okay. Yes. User created successfully. Okay. That happened in the post to chatter has happened. So that's pretty much it from our session. We are left with 5 minutes. If you have any doubts, you can put in the chat. And in the meantime, if you have posted on Twitter or LinkedIn, we will check and announce the winner. So the stage is all yours.
And there is
John,
one
we
thing,
can start. Mhm.
there is, there is one question.
No, are you saying from Megesh?
Now, what is the limitation of record trigger flow?
I already talked about this, Sushil. John, I informed him. I think we're good to stop the recording.